like to know right now what will be uh, your your most memorable experience when you first take up the office as the as the foreign secretary, and also what will be the three key advice for aspiring individuals who wants to enter into governance.
Well, what would be my advice, or what I think is important for any position of significance in a governance matrix, so to say. Uh, First of all, I think credibility is very important. Credibility of your person with those with whom you happen to work, uh, whichever be the institution. So that is important. Secondly, I would say a positive attitude. There are all kinds of problems, there are all kinds of issues for which you do not have a textbook answer. So, how to approach those issues, address them, you have to have a positive attitude. Uh, Wherever there is a flexibility, the flexibility should be utilized or deployed for something positive. Third, I would say, is a clarity of purpose. One should always know what one is trying to do, what one is trying to achieve. And that combined with hard work can pay dividends. So that is one thing. And so far as memorable moments during while I was there, there are so many foreign secretaries per se have to be involved almost on a daily basis with different kind of issues, uh, policy issues. I only remember the one crisis which, in this context, when we were hit by an earthquake of 8.1 on Richter scale. Huge earthquake. We lost more than 100,000 people in that. And in that, as Foreign Office, we also had to play a role because the world came to our assistance at that time. They stood by us, and we were very grateful for that. And we received a lot of assistance from around the world to help us out of that crisis. And later on, with the process of rebuilding and reconstruction, with huge areas which were affected by earthquake in the Kashmir area, in the Pashtunkhwa, which was northwestern province, and in the Islamabad and northern Punjab areas. So in that, to be able to assist and facilitate as an institution, Foreign Office had to play a very important role. There were about 100 sorties, for example, every day that we were receiving in terms of food assistance, tents, other equipment to help these people. So that is one point in my career which I remember, both for the tragedy and for the fact that all of our institutions, including the Foreign Office, were able to work together effectively to face this crisis.
What will be the most challenging phase of your career as the Foreign Secretary of Pakistan? Uh, is it got to do with good governance, or was it the decisions that you had to make? Uh,
I think it's basically had to do always with policy recommendations, policy to the government, and you are making recommendations, and you are also part of the policy making as Foreign Secretary in the foreign policy arena. And Pakistan had certainly numerous challenges, as I have mentioned, the should
Yes.
be Afghanistan, it should be India, uh,
Oh,
problems.
so
many
which was
others.
the most difficult recommendation you have ever made?
Well, I would not say which one were the difficult ones, but we did make important recommendations to steer the policy in the way that we thought was the right way.
I understand. Now about the youth of today and tomorrow, you know, as a former foreign secretary, uh, what do you see the challenges ahead for the youth, especially in Pakistan? Do you think uh, the youth of tomorrow would share the same aspirations as you were when you were a youth, and in becoming uh, one of the great leaders, in good governance?
Well, youth, I should say, everywhere have aspirations. Uh, we had aspirations when I was young, and like many other of my friends and colleagues. But that was a different time period. Now it's a different time period. For example, in those days, to be part of the government service was considered to be important when I was young. And we pursued normally traditional professions like to be an engineer, to be a doctor, to be a civil servant, to be a diplomat, or to be an academician. Uh, Science profession was one other. But now I think the youth have much larger choices before them. For example, things like IT was not even known, computers were not even known in the days, I'm talking about 60s and 70s or 50s. So I think the youth of today has a far more exciting world, but at the same time, I think a far more competitive world uh, in which they have to live, they have to work, they have to compete, and they have to progress in life.